In this video, I'll be ranking the best ways to land high ticket sales roles right now. And I've actually used all these methods myself. If you don't know who I am, I've been in high ticket sales for over 4 years at this point, personally closed millions of dollars. And I've also helped hundreds of beginners without previous experience to get into high ticket sales. So with all the experience in this video, I want to bring that all to you and just show you the best ways that I see right now to spend your time on if you're trying to get into high ticket sales at the moment. I'll rank this on the scale here from S tier to F tier based off of like how likely these actually are to get you as a beginner into high ticket sales role and how effective they are as well, because you're only be doing stuff that's going to waste your time, obviously. So I'll be ranking them in terms of effectiveness and likeliness of actually getting you hired. First off, let's start off with the most classic one that you're probably already familiar with, which is Instagram outreach. Okay, there's two sides to this. Instagram outreach is one of the worst ways to land roles right now as a beginner in high ticket sales. But if you do it in the right way, it can also be one of the best ways to do so. So let me explain here. What most people do right now is they go on Instagram and it's like blindly send out messages to business owners, to offer owners that have a high ticket sales role that they can come into. And then guess what? Business owners like maybe Breast Scales, Iman Gadzi, Alex Ramosi, Grant Cardone, like these biggest companies, they get bombarded with DMs. And your likelihood of getting seen and actually standing out from these other people is pretty much zero. That's obviously like a shit way of doing it. Like you're not gonna land a roles that way. Like I see a lot of people doing that for like months and months and they land zero roles. And when they land a role, it's like a shit offer. That obviously doesn't work. But here's the thing: if you do this in the right way, if you reach out to the right people on Instagram, you will land roles. And it's actually very, very powerful. One of the best ways to land roles. So I would actually put this at A tier just for that reason, if you do things the right way. And the right way to do it is by not looking for offer owners, but instead of reaching out to offer owners, finding people that are growth operators and people that are sales managers. If you can find the sales managers for big offers, people like maybe Alex Hermosi, maybe Breast Scales, maybe TJR, maybe Shelby Sapp, maybe like whoever you follow, if it's a fitness influencer, whoever it is, if you find their sales managers, those people have less followers, and reaching out and sending them a DM with a personalized intro video will stand out, and you will very likely build a relationship with them and then get hired for one or even multiple of their offers. So Instagram is A tier for sure. It's not the best because it's definitely getting more saturated, but if you do things like I said right now, it's actually a probably even like A plus tier, I would say, because it's so powerful if you just reach out to the right people, and it costs $0 as well to do. So very powerful if you do things the right way. Don't be stupid. Don't do this like the mass outreach to the business owner. That's not gonna work. It's very ineffective. Next thing is Skool. Okay, so Alex Ramos's platform that, if you don't know what it is basically this platform where you can start and like run online communities. So a lot of communities on there, and it's kind of like a Facebook group basically, where there's like this communities on there where you can go in, and there's companies that post hiring posts for appointment setters and closers in those communities. It's definitely better, a lot better than Facebook groups. I'll get into that in a second. Facebook groups are honestly trash at this point. If you're putting any time into Facebook groups, that's stupid. Skool is a lot better. You can find good roles in there, and it's definitely not the best. It's not definitely not as good as Instagram, because on Instagram, if you find these like growth operators, you can reach out directly to like some really, really big offers. These big offers typically don't post what I've seen in Skool groups, especially not in like in the free groups. Sometimes in the paid groups, it's gonna happen on like the paid job boards. But going into like a free Skool group and finding like a 10 out of 10 role, it's pretty unlikely, I would say. But I've seen a lot of people that have landed like solid roles. We're making 4 to 6K a month from free Skool groups. So I would put this at B tier, a lot better than Facebook, because there's actually like real roles. The roles in here are not completely scammy. There are some roles that are scammy, but there's mostly like real legit roles in Skool typically. And it's not going to be the best roles. That's why it's not higher on the list. Next one, let's do the Facebook groups. Okay, Facebook group used to be like, when I first got into IT sales, it used to be like okay. It was still pretty shit back then, but it was okay. Nowadays, I wouldn't even spend any time. I would put this actually like down here at like F tier, because on Facebook groups you might find like one in like 100 like an okay offer, but most offers are going to be absolute dog shit. Most of them will be asking you to pay in order to get hired by the team, or they're selling their own coaching program, etc. And a lot of these offers is like they just started off, they have zero experience running an actual successful business. And if you get hired by one of these companies, you will have to come in and they will have to build out the entire business for them. So they expect them to have an appointment setter or closer come in and like help them build out their scripts and their sales systems. And there's so much risk of doing that. You'll be wasting a lot of time. So I would avoid Facebook groups at all costs. Next thing is email. Okay, this might be something that sounds different from what you've heard before. Email outreach is not something that's super common, which is also why it's very powerful, because very, very few people actually reach out to high ticket sales offers and like apply for roles using email. So I would actually put this at B tier as well. It takes quite a lot of effort to do, because you need to go into usually like these people's YouTube channel, find their email for there. Maybe you can go into their landing pages or their Instagram and find their email for there. But if you apply this properly and you actually like get volume with this way of doing the way of doing outreach, it's powerful, because most people, they're not used to getting like emails from someone applying for a role, so you have a chance of really getting like a high likelihood of them actually being open. The thing with Instagram, when you reach out to just like general like successful business owners and apply for the roles, obviously they're not going to see your DMs a lot of times. With email, the likelihood of them seeing your email is a lot higher, because you're not getting hundreds and hundreds of emails from people applying for high-tech sales roles. It's getting more saturated for sure, but it's one of those methods where like if you actually just go like hard with the volume and you have good videos in your emails, so you send a good introduction Loom video, then people will open those videos and they will like, you will get a high response rate, because people actually see the stuff you're sending out. And that's a big thing when you're doing like cold outreach to land a high-tech sales role. It's just like the open rates, how many people actually see what you're sending out. And emails are really good for that if you can write proper like headlines and proper like a good email. The biggest issue with this is if you use AI, or if you don't get the volume up. Like if you don't get 50, 100 emails sent out, if you can't like hit those type of numbers, or if you use AI, you're kind of fucked with this. So you need to get the volume up, and it needs to be personal, it needs to be real, and you need to have good intro videos as well. Next thing is LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is, I'll put it at probably D tier. Very, very rarely that you would actually find like a good high ticket sales role that's hiring on LinkedIn. From what I've seen is for unks or like people that are like 30, 40 plus, like just not the typical like high ticket sales roles. Most of the high ticket sales roles, they don't really hire from like a resume or like a CV, etc. They're not gonna go on LinkedIn therefore and like hire people from there, because they're looking for someone who's, they don't really look for, okay, do you have 10 years of job experience? What they look for is, do you have the skill set to come in and perform in our business? That's the difference between high ticket sales and like all other sales jobs, so like tech sales and software sales, etc. Is that in this industry, like they look at how good you are. They don't look at how many years of experience that you have. So what I've seen is very, very few companies, very few like big and actually like good high ticket sales roles hire on LinkedIn. There are some, so I'm not saying that there's not opportunity on there, but spending your time on LinkedIn and doing outreach on there and like trying to apply for roles right on there, you're not going to land like good high tech sales roles, and it's not the most effective way of doing it. Next thing, we'll do network. If you have a big network right now, if you know a lot of people in the high ticket sales space, or like in the online make money industry, it's by far the most powerful and the easiest way you can land a role. If you go out right now and let's say you have a network, you joined some coaching program in the past, and you know some people that run an agency or that runs like a coaching program, a mentoring program, reaching out to those people that you already know or already have contact with, and they already know like who you are, that's a very easy in. It makes it so much easier for you to like land a role, compared to having to like compete with hundreds of other people inside of the emails, inside of LinkedIn posts or Facebook groups or Skool groups, because the whole point of this game is we want to separate ourselves from the competition. And if you have like an advantage, you want to lean into that as much as possible. We want to use all of our like unfair advantages, especially when it comes to landing roles. So if you have a network, if you know people, if you have a family member or cousin, or you've been in a community in the past, you know someone who knows someone who has a coaching program or like an offer you can go sell for, very, very powerful. I'll put this at S tier if it wasn't for the fact that as a beginner, you probably don't have a massive network. So for a beginner, I'll put it as A tier, because you probably do have someone that you know that knows that you know that has a high ticket sales offer, or that's connected with someone. So you definitely want to leverage that and find out like who that is for yourself. Go into like all the different things that you do have access to. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you don't have access to like the biggest network, which you might not have at the beginner stage, then it can be difficult to leverage this. But I feel like most people can, and if you can, then this is definitely one of the most powerful ways to quickly, very, very quickly land a role, by going out in your network, reaching out to people, letting them know that you're looking for a high-tech sales role, and then also building the network, obviously. Not just like relying on what you currently have right now, but it's also very easy to go on Instagram, go on to YouTube, find people that you want to work for, and then you don't reach out to them and like, hey man, I want a role, but you can start networking with them, start letting them know like, hey, I'm an appointment setter, this is my skill set, I've been putting this amount of reps, or I'm a closer, I've been putting in some of my calls. You can start letting them know in a very like chill, relaxed way, and start building your network that way, so that when they're hiring, or when they know someone else is hiring, they will reach out to you. You will be their first pick. But it's like expand your network basically. That's a powerful way. A tier for that. Next thing we'll do here is going to be YouTube. I kind of touched on this before, which is kind of combined with like the email outreach. But what is this? Is just going on YouTube, finding smaller channels that you see potential in, finding like the Iman Gadzi of like 5 years ago, before he popped off, before he became massive. So if you go on YouTube, you can find a bunch of channels that has between 5,000 to, I would say, around 50 to 100K subscribers. Find someone that has a smaller channel, very like loyal audience. These people are extremely good. It's almost like investing into like a stock. You can find someone you resonate with. You see like this person has potential. I believe in them, and you find those people. You get their Instagram, you get their email, and reach out to them on there. It's very powerful. You can find very like unique channels that have more smaller niche audience, but a very strong audience. And these guys are a lot of times making like 100, 200, 300K a month solely off of a good YouTube channel. So it's a very good way you can find smaller niche channels if you have a niche interest. Like for me, it's like, okay, I'm into eating like raw meat. There's channels teaching that have a smaller, very niche audience that I can reach out to. So it's a good way you can find smaller offers that are easier to get hired for by going onto YouTube. So I would put this actually at A tier as well. As long as you don't reach out to like massive influencers, you can find some really like golden nuggets on YouTube, some really like golden opportunities. And then you can go and get their Instagram, get their email, reach out to them on there, and get some killer roles from doing that. Again, it's a volumes game for sure, but if you find like 5-10 good channels and you really like attack them when it comes to like reaching out, you send out good, again, key principle I share in this video. You need to send out good videos, good quality outreach. But if you do that, you can get some killer roles from there. Okay, now on to the last ones. These are the paid options. So you have, first off, we have a job board. So most paid programs that's going to help you to get into high ticket sales will offer you a job board. Okay, so basically what that is, if you don't know what a job board is just having a board of jobs, basically. Like it's this list of jobs that you can go and apply for yourself. So it's not placement. Placement is the next thing we'll get into. The job board is just having a list of different jobs and ways to contact these different influencers that are hiring, basically. So it's obviously like a very easy and like simple way to get a lot of contacts and a lot of companies to reach out to. You don't have to go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Skool, YouTube, and find roles yourself. So that's obviously like a big benefit. You get roles just like listed out in front of you, and all you have to do is just apply for them. That's a big benefit. However, what I see is a lot of people in most coaching programs to get into high ticket sales, a lot of beginners get into those programs and they still don't land roles, even though they have access to like hundreds of roles every single week even. Why is that? It's because when you get access to a job board, guess what? Everyone else in that program that you're in, and in most other programs as well, has access to the exact same jobs. I heard this a lot where someone thinks that if I just invest in this like big mentor who's been in high ticket sales for super long time, etc., it's because he has all these roles, I'm gonna get hired like automatically as a result of that. And that's not true. The big issue with the job boards is that when you come in as a beginner and you apply for these job boards, you are competing against everyone else, not only in that program, but in every other program as well that has access to the exact same job boards. Okay. So what happens then is that you as a beginner, like you have all these roles to apply for. And I've had this so many times, people come to me and they've been applying for roles for like 6 months, a year, and they can't seem to land good roles because they're competing against everyone else. And like I said before in this video, the key thing here is you want to compete with less people. If you can be in a smaller pond and compete with less people, you will stand out more. And this is one of those ways that you're doing the exact opposite. You're competing against pretty much everyone else that has way more skills than you have. So the thing is, like, this can be very frustrating for a beginner, which is I'll put it as an A tier because you have a bunch of roles that you have access to. But if you don't know what you're doing when you're applying for the roles, if you don't know how to actually position yourself properly, which 99% of people have zero clue on how to do. Probably watching this video right now, if you have access to a job board at the moment, if you're in a program where you have a job board and you haven't run a role, your positioning is probably like dog shit. And that's why you don't run any roles in terms of how to actually do interview videos, in terms of how to actually what you're saying, how to show up in interviews, probably is like suck. Because the truth is, I've had so many people land roles with extremely big offers, not even qualified to land, just by helping them change how they communicate and how they position themselves. So if you have that type of training, if you know how to position yourself, and then you have a job board, then this is S tier. If you don't know how to position yourself, which most people do, they haven't actually developed a proper skill set, they haven't actually learned proper sales, they have learned some script, and that's it. But if you know proper sales and you know how to actually position yourself, how to actually sell yourself in the interview videos, how to stand out from everyone else, the things to lean into, etc., this is S tier, because then you have unlimited roles from the job board and you will be able to stand out from other people. So I'll put this as S tier, but that's given that you actually have the right positioning. Now, on to the last thing, which is placement. And obviously, this, just like with job boards, is a pay-to-play game. If you want placement from someone who's actually serious, and training and placement, which I offer, there's obviously a bunch of other people that offer the same thing, where you actually get placement. What this means, though, is it's not a job board. It's two different things. A job board is when you just get jobs to apply for yourself. Placement is when someone connects you directly with a business owner, where someone gets you in a group chat and connects you directly and basically recommends you directly into business. You can skip past the whole like intro video and like filtering out process. Okay, so placement is obviously like the most high level like pay to play game. When I land roles myself, like the best roles that I've landed has been through placement. It's like paying, and you usually have to pay quite a big amount. I've invested 5k 10k into different programs to get placement. So definitely it's a pay to play game. A lot of people are not willing to pay to do it, which is why most people don't land the best roles, just being frank with you. But at the end of the day, if you're willing to pay, which if you look at most successful people in high ticket sales and like overall, they pay to get connections and like speed up the journey. It's kind of two different paths. You can either just go the networking path and build out the network yourself and like get all the connections that's taken me, for example, the last 3 to 4 years to build, of being top rep on multiple different teams and building like the reputation, etc., to get access to those roles yourself. Or you can pay to play. You can pay to get into someone's network who's already done it and get placed and recommended by that person. So that's, I'll put this at S tier, but it's given that you're actually someone who's willing to invest in your success. Because if not, obviously this is like F tier, because then you're not going to get access to good placement. But if you're actually willing to invest in yourself, and then obviously like when you get placed, that's going to involve you getting trained up properly and getting like the skills from someone. For example, in my program, I work with people one-on-one to train you up on the skill of high ticket sales. And that's why I can then like place you directly into roles if you actually been obviously like putting in the work and actually gotten good. So that's why I put placement at SJ, because at the end of the day, like if you want to get into high ticket sales as quickly as possible and land the best possible roles, the best way to do so is just having someone who's already done that themselves, already has access to the roles, who can just like place you directly into a good company, and you skip past this entire journey of having to even apply for roles, find roles, etc. So that's my ranking. Hope this was valuable for some of you guys. If you want my help to get trained up properly and get placed into roles for myself in high ticket sales, you can apply for that below this video if you're serious about it. If you have any questions, you may DM on Instagram, and I'll see you tomorrow, always in the next video. Take care. Ciao.